What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. Now, this video is going to be the full story of X-Men Forever. All 4 issues put together so you can check it out in one go. This is all about the rebirth of the Phoenix, about its never-ending cycle. But more than that, it's about Jean Grey. It's about Hope Summers. Not only do we get to find out who Hope Summers' real father is, but we see that Enigma tries to take that place. When Exodus said that Hope is the Messiah, this story goes to prove him right. That all of mutant kind, all of humanity, their whole future lies in her hands. In her capability to save everybody. Her capability to kill the Phoenix. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we hop into this issue, we pick up in the year 1899. An orchestra is playing. Destiny and Raven, they have shown up here in attendance. But as this play went on, Destiny saw something more. She saw the future. She saw Enigma. This is the moment she believed she saw God. It took her a while to fully understand what all of this meant, but when she did, it broke her. This is what brings her to Sinister. The burst of new visions was not part of her diaries. She realized this must come later, after they built Krakoa, and after 20 years, she arranged this meeting. She told him everything. Nathaniel Essex being dead, the 4 variations created, all of them trying to become victorious, but all of them failing, and Enigma rising. But in that moment, Sinister is struck dead. Enigma arrives. He had wondered if Irene had seen him back at the play. That was his debut to the world. But Enigma has no intention of killing her. He's not gonna let her meddle. He is outside of time, so he is fundamentally safe. He could crush her at any point if he so chose to do so, but she is alive because Enigma is not sure. This is an experiment for him. If he makes a change, it shouldn't do anything, but maybe it will. His main goal is to protect the timeline, and it is far too early for any of his variations to learn anything. He warns her to stay away, but he also offers up the free run to Krakoa. He needs Krakoa to exist, and so for the time, Enigma would say that they are both on the same side. The way Destiny sees it, they're both just headed in the same direction. But to end this conversation, he does ask her, do you want to know why Mystique leaves? And when Raven goes on to ask about this, Destiny keeps it to herself. That she will let her know when the time is needed, to trust her, to believe in her. Hopping over to weeks before the invasion of Earth, we pick up in London with Mother Righteous. Mother Righteous has just learned that she is not the Dominion, and of course she is furious. She has learned about Enigma. She has learned that all of them had been tricked, and as she tries going and running through a gateway, she is unable to. Her duplicate currently in the white hot room. Whatever happens to that duplicate also happens to her and vice versa. So if one of them dies, both of them dies. She was supposed to already be gone, so it wouldn't be a big deal. And now, cut off from that clone of herself, we pick up in the white hot room. We pick up with Destiny, the clone of Mother Righteous, Jean Grey, Exodus, and Hope. Exodus is unable to close Jean's wounds. He needs to get her back to Krakoa. He believes that Elixir might be the only thing that can save her right now. With Hope getting ready to put a bullet into Mother Righteous admits that she lost, but now she can help them. That she can be used as a kind of telephone, being able to communicate with her other self. They can get messages back and forth from the white hot room to the real world. And while Mother Righteous in the real world thinks that she has the opportunity, that she's gonna capitalize on all of this, this is when we have the arrival of Orbis and Dr. Stasis. The other 2 clones have shown up and they plan to put down Mother Righteous. They believe that they still have a chance at Dominionhood. They want to take down Mother Righteous, get her out of the equation completely, and then they can focus on one another and getting to Dominionhood. The 2 of them, they can capture her relatively easy. She tries to warn them that they have failed, that all of them fail, and that there is only Enigma. Mother Righteous still having a trick up her sleeve, still having a favor to cash in. Saying the spell, we see Dr. Stasis turn on Orbis. This gives Mother Righteous the opportunity to get out of here. Exiting this room, she runs into Selene, going in to cash in a favor she had with Selene. It doesn't work. She tells Mother Righteous that that is a very retro way to go about it. Back in the old days, she used to do this all the time. The problem is, people started finding the loopholes, so she stopped doing it altogether. When she stopped doing it after all these years, people kind of forgot about it. Of course, she never did. With Selene having the upper hand, getting ready to put down Mother Righteous, this is when Mother Righteous uses one of her orbs, telling it to escape now, and she will set it free. In a blinding light, she disappears, the orb taking her 3 blocks over. In a very bad position, she finds herself face to face with Charles Xavier. He lets Mother Righteous know that you are coming with us, and he welcomes her to the X-Men. We pick up later at No Place, with Charles going on to explain that we tried to tell you before you unleashed Enigma, but you didn't listen. But when you tried to ascend, that gave us your location. We were able to pinpoint you and take you down. This is when Shaw comes onto the monitor. Working along with Orcus, they were able to take down Mother Righteous. And while Charles is not happy with Shaw, Shaw's the one that will benefit from any opportunity. He is only ever on his own side. After being screwed over by Mother Righteous, he was more than willing to help out. This is when Shaw goes on to tell Charles, make me forget the conversation and we will go about our own ways. As we turn over to one of the pods opening up, this is where we have Sinister reborn in Doug's body. Charles Xavier is purged of any Sinister DNA. Nathaniel is out of him forever, now having his own body. Doug is trapped inside of the hibernating Krakoa. Sinister has a copy of his gift in the body. This is how they are going to be able to cloak all of No Place, to hide themselves, to be able to steer through all of this chaos. As the conversation gets underway with Mother Righteous, she lets them know that the mutants are still alive. And this makes Charles drop down to his knees, tears running down his face. This is the first time that he has learned all those missing mutants that got walked through the gateways are still alive. And so they use the Mother Righteouses to communicate. They send over all the information, but Destiny she demands to know what happened to Raven. And Raven is on Krakoa. Charles is able to get in communication, but she tells Charles to shut up, that she's not speaking to him, and she is not speaking to Irene. Destiny now knows that Raven read the book. She knows the truth. This is the moment in time when Mystique leaves. Taking us weeks later, we pick up with Doug, aka Sinister, Charles, Rachel, and a few other individuals. The X-Men have begun their assault on Orcus. They believe that this is an opportunity for Enigma to be distracted. They talk briefly about the events that are going on in Dead X-Men issues number 1. And Charles once again thanking Rachel for joining up, understanding how essential her work is. And she says that she gets it. If Jean is out of action, there is no other choice, because who else are they going to have on their team if they are planning to resurrect the Phoenix? Now, of course, Charles doesn't give her the whole truth, and he knows that she's not going to be happy about it. The truth that he is going to kill Moira before her mutant ability activates. No matter what, this is a weight he will have to live with. But for him, it is the only way to save everything. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this, we pick up in the White Hot Room. We have Destiny, Exodus, Hope with Mother Righteous. As they sit here and have a conversation, that's where we see Mother Righteous begin to fade away. As she fades, Charles Xavier begins to talk. He had left a little imprint of himself to help them cross the T's and dot the I's before they progress forward. He tells them to bring Rachel back. She's gonna be mad, and rightfully so, to give her whatever she needs to help Jean Grey, to tell her team that he is sorry, that they didn't understand the roads that their words had led him to take. At this point, he believes that the Phoenix is the only true choice. Before the construct falls to pieces, before this body melts, he sends them all the remaining details that they need. specifically all the X-Men who have died in the Orcus Purges. He tells them to bring them back, to lead them, that someone must, because his time has passed. This is what brings us to the resurrection of Rachel, to Rasputin, to all the X-Men that have died. But before they go off and do anything, there is one more they must resurrect. Against everybody's wishes, but having no other option but to do it, they resurrect Sinister. Wondering why he was brought back to life, Destiny tells him that we are all mutants, that we must fight on the same side. No matter all the awful things that you have done, we need you for this fight. As they go over all the details, Orcus has been beat, but the AIs have made a move. And then Enigma aiding all the AIs is another problem. Him making moves is going to be unpredictable. Their only advantage is that he is presently unaware of their plans. That's not going to last forever. Xavier joining the AIs is for two purposes. First, to keep all mutants alive. With the AIs getting ready to strike, everything they're doing will keep mutant kind alive long enough to do what they need to do. But Charles will have to kill humans. Before we even move on from this, that's when Rachel comes in the room, asking all of them how could they do this. Now for Sinister, he's a supervillain. Killing a bunch of humans, morally, ethically, he has no issues with this. Exodus doesn't really care either. Destiny doesn't really care either. The only one that might have an issue with this is Hope. And at the end of the day, Hope is a soldier. She's not a hero. She understands that there are casualties in war, and for once, it is time that humanity shares in that cost. Rachel really believed that her team in Dead X-Men had fixed this problem, had convinced Xavier not to throw Krakoa away by killing Moira, and in truth, he did. They convinced him the dream of Krakoa was too important. So Xavier's dream is Xavier's dream no longer. The dream is the dream. Xavier is Xavier, and Xavier is gone. He is sacrificing himself. He is making himself a martyr for the dream, for a chance of new Krakoa, and then posing the question to Rachel, what would you have done to prevent your timeline where you were whipped like a dog to hunt your peers? What would you do to prevent that from happening? Would you do what Xavier is now doing? Would you have gone as far as Bishop did? What are your limitations? And Hope says that it's done, that we'll make the best of what we can, that maybe we're wrong, maybe it's all for nothing, but all we can do now is fight as hard as we can. Right now, Earth Krakoa is under attack. They get all the X-Men they can and they go back home. They are the cavalry. But the reason that Rachel is here with the trigger is because she needs to be here with the Phoenix plan. As we pick up with Rachel standing before Jean Grey's body, she knows that they gotta do this together. They gotta figure out how they're gonna do this. With Prodigy coming into the room, he wonders that if mutilating the Phoenix was part of Enigma's plan, because the Dominions are weak against the Phoenix. If you take the Phoenix off the board while coming into existence, that would be the smartest move. She does believe that Xavier was right. She has to work this out, and only she can figure this out. With her, her mother, and Prodigy. Taking Prodigy and shoving him into Krakoa. She tells him that this is not one plan, but it is many. It is one that spirals out. The first thing they need is Prodigy. After being connected to the Imkron crystal, he has all those dimensions in him, some of which have the Phoenix in them. He is taking the essence of all of those realities, and they are now being imprinted into Krakoa itself, like a blueprint, like an idea and inspiration, and then they throw it into the fire. They throw it into Jean Grey and try to bring her back. But they have to kill Jean to do this. But she is also already dead. This is Phoenix Heaven and Hell. What fire could possibly burn Jean Grey? Rachel thinks that she might have an answer for this, but it's really about what happens when they do, as Rachel goes on to explain that the Phoenix is all about rebirth. But this is something else, something more. The Phoenix is at the end of its existence. It has to be recreated, and to do this, it needs a lot. Jean is already dead. They kill her, and then what happens? If you kill someone that is dead, that becomes a double negative, a negative to a positive, kind of a paradox. Infinite life, the Phoenix. At least, that's what she's hoping for. As we pick up with Exodus and one of the young mutants. He's telling Exodus that he's really intense. As they eat food, he mentions how this is going to be the last good food he has after a while once all the X-Men abandon them. Because that's how he feels. He feels like all the X-Men are just going to leave them here. And Exodus has to let him know that yes, if they resurrect the Phoenix, this place will change. They won't be able to return. This isn't how he thought it would be. He thought he was going to sacrifice himself to let them all go home, to bring them out of the desert. But that's not the way it's going. The heroes go home to save the world, and then they have to stay and try to make the best of it. It seems like they didn't really matter at all. But Exodus reminds him that everything he did for Krakoa, and he is Krakoa. They are the important ones. Exodus saying that he will remember all of them, that they will never be forgotten. As we pick up later, Sinister is working to try and figure all of this out, when he is actually in the room of white hotness with a fresh dose of Doug genes to guide him. He knows exactly what he needs to do and how to work this out. The two Krakoan islands are connected, metaphysically, so this is the same technology he used to make No Place travel between dimensions. He is going to suck this oasis dry, so that they can persuade Krakoa to reach across space and time and reach the other side. As we see the vines wrap up the mutants, turning to little eggs, and in a flash, everything is gone. This place has turned into a wasteland, void of vegetation, Hope being left over with some of the others. She says that she knows this isn't great. All the work they have done, it has gone into sending them home. But when they bring back the Phoenix, is going to need a lot of work to rebuild. Asking why Hope is still here, she says that she has Messiah stuff to do. Going to the pyre where we find Jean Grey atop. And so with Hope thinking to herself, how do you burn Jean Grey? What fire could hurt her? Jean's fire. This is where Hope lifts up her hand and we see that fire come to life. But with a giant explosion, we hear a demanding no, and Jean reaches out, asking if Hope can hear her. She says that she feels clear, but she was fragmented. She doesn't know what she is anymore, but she is. But when it comes to the Phoenix, Jean is scared, and the Phoenix is scared. It has died before, but it has never ended. And the Phoenix is fighting with all of its power to not meet the end of existence. Asking if Hope can help, we see her pull back the slide on her pistol, and she lets Jean know that she can. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we immediately pick up with Doug. He has been asleep for quite some time, and Krakoa fills him in on everything that he has missed. About the gala, about all the hell that followed afterwards. But Krakoa lets him know that they are finally home. Letting Doug out, he pops out, only to find that they are at war. At the Pacific Krakoa on Earth. The Sentinels are attacking, mutant kind is defending, and Cypher enters the fight. As we pick up with Sebastian Shaw. After everything has gone sideways, Shaw's recognizing what's going down. More than that, his assistant is an AI, created to take down Shaw when the opportunity was best. Being able to detect telepathic communication with Emma Frost, the AI robot goes to take down Shaw. But Shaw, communicating with Emma Frost, is trying to kind of win his way back to Krakoa. You guys gotta remember, Sebastian Shaw is a guy that plays both sides. All the time, anytime, whenever it suits him best. He's like a cockroach. He is always going to survive no matter what happens, no matter who he betrays. He always finds a way to make his value worth more than his death. But passing on a single binary phrase, a backdoor to the Sentinels, he tells Emma Frost to pass this off to Doug, to tell Cypher to stir up some trouble. And so with the Sentinels attacking, fresh guns coming right off the vine, and Sinister handing them all out. With Destiny back in the timeline, she is recognizing that their future is destruction, that they do not win. Exodus telling her to silence her mouth. that she is a council member, and he will destroy her if she voices such defeatism. Now, Doug, having that single binary code, he goes ahead and he spouts it off directly at the Sentinels, and this shuts them down. This is when Exodus takes over, flying up and knocking these Sentinels in the face. One by one, he demolishes them. And while Destiny says that they may be winning this battle, they're not gonna win the war. Shaw being able to escape away from his AI and get to his security vault. Inside of here, Sebastian Shaw has a backup plan. He has his X gene ready in a needle directly into his neck. That's why Sebastian Shaw was so willing to give up his X gene. He already had a backup plan, a simple injection that would give his powers back. As we hop over to the white hot room, this is where we have Hope Summers. And Hope and Jean are communicating. Hope is letting Jean know that there is more work to do, that they have many stages that they must go through. But if she's going to hunt down the Phoenix, Hope is going to need a lot more than a 9mm. She needs to be able to send a message home. As Jean soars, looking like the Phoenix through this darkness, she tells Hope to hurry, that the Phoenix is scared, that at this point it would be almost a kindness to put it down, to have the rebirth. This is where Hope, she knocks on the ground. She knocks on the roots. These roots send out an SOS directly to Doug Ramsey. With him getting the SOS, Rachel gets in contact with Eden. Manifold has shown up, a man that simply has to ask the universe for something to be done. Rachel knows that they gotta get back to the white hot room, but also Destiny needs Nightcrawler. With Manifold opening up a portal, he pulls him through. Nightcrawler showing up, and he already knows. He knows the truth. He knows that Destiny is his mother. As she goes to apologize, this is where Mystique comes out of there, guns blazing. Nightcrawler tries to intercept, but Mystique is furious that Destiny knew, that she wrote it down in code. Nightcrawler grabbing hold of her guns and then taking off. He gives Destiny the opportunity to say her piece. This is where Destiny explains why she did everything she did. Now, before, her visions only extended to Krakoa. In no timeline did she discover the truth before now. When she returned to life and got a second set of visions, she saw timelines where they uncovered the truth. Destiny and Mystique finally had a child. She knew Azazel, the demon, would ascend to power. Worldwide chaos, many deaths, including Mystique. Destiny had to stop this. She needed something to use against this man, against this demon. That something was Nightcrawler. She says that it wasn't enough that Nightcrawler was born. She was afraid that they were bad influences, even now. But Azazel would kill them, kill Mystique and Nightcrawler, if he didn't become an X-Men. She had to give him up to save him. And then she chose for Charles to purge her memory. The idea of not having them was far too much for her. And while Raven chose otherwise, it tore her mind to tatters. Now here at the very end, they all know. Destiny apologizing to Nightcrawler for the life that he has had to lead. It is a life that she chose for him, but not one that she would wish for anybody. He tells her that he is happy and angry, that his feelings are very complicated, but they're gonna figure it out. For Destiny though, she doesn't love Nightcrawler. She made Xavier block away those feelings completely, so she can never feel anything for Nightcrawler. Xavier was supposed to remove these. He was supposed to take these blocks away, but now he is in the hands of the enemy. Mystique now has to ask, why are we still here? Now we go get Xavier. But Destiny refuses to tell her where Xavier is, because if she goes, she will die. The future currently being a minefield. She refuses to lead Mystique into that. As they argue over this, Exodus tells Kurt that it is time to go, because he is needed in the Arbor. As they open up the gateway, they say that this isn't great. It should be like mining Mysterium, but it's not. It is farther away and all kinds of messed up, with Manifold saying that it's never been safe. And it's even worse now. But Destiny lets us know it's the people that are living there. Subjective reality warps, the pure pre-existence creativity of the room. That is what broke Jean Grey. That is how it is as stable as it's going to get. If Destiny's plan works, they won't be going back. Not like this. Nightcrawler unable to go through, and Exodus isn't going to let him. Exodus says that it needs to be him, but he does ask for Kurt's Hope Sword. as Exodus takes that sword and he goes to find Hope. He tells her that it's not too late to let somebody else take the burden. We are seeing them communicate between the White Hot Room and regular Earth. This gateway opened up by manifolds, but it is so powerful that only Exodus and individuals with his level of durability could even attempt to give the weapon to Hope. The weapon being the Hope Sword. And Hope is letting Exodus know that it can't be you, that it has to be me. Hope knows that there is probably no return from this. She tells Exodus to be good, throwing the sword to her and Exodus asking if there is anything else. She goes to mention something about her dad, about Cable, but that is exactly when he shows up. Knowing that he would come to say goodbye, he waves her off and she whispers, "I love you," and then the gateway closes. Now Hope wielding the Hope Sword. This is where we learn an interesting truth. The Hope Sword is live. It is alive, and it is David Haller. It is Legion. One of the most powerful mutants to ever exist is the living weapon that Hope is going to use to take down the Phoenix. Now, swords aren't really Hope's style, so they're gonna go with something she's a little more comfortable with. This is where we see Legion transform into a gun, much more fitting for her. And then Jean Grey appearing before her. Jean is letting her know that the Phoenix is going to be hard to find, that she is off in the nothing, that she would rather lose herself than die. But Jean can help. She is going to do what she can, floating above time and space. Coherent now, she can lead and watch for trouble, but it is all going to be up to Hope to actually handle this. This is where we pick up with Enigma. Enigma learned the truth from Mother Righteous. Hope as a great hunter, rebirthing the thing that could be the real threat to Enigma. And it is in the place that he can't even do anything about. He cannot interfere directly inside this place of outside time and space. But there are other things he can do in other places and other times. This is what takes us to Anchorage, Alaska, 9 months before Hope's birth. Going up to Louise Spaulding. He is here to talk about her pregnancy, or her pregnancy that may never happen. Alright gang, so as we pick up with this issue, it does start us off with Sinister and Destiny. And I really have grown to love their relationship throughout this Krakoan era. We have tracked them back all the way back to the early days of Nathaniel Essex. Destiny has been telling him all of this time that at the end of the day, they gotta be on the same side. But right now, Destiny has no hope, that there is no way through. Enigma will always win. Right now, she is seeing a splintered timeline, a minefield that lays before her. And oddly enough, this is where Sinister comes in as a voice of reason. He talks about once being able to construct a model that predicted all the actions of mutant kind. It was a model that worked very well until the arrival of the Phoenix. He knows if the Phoenix plan works, no one's gonna see it coming, including Enigma, including Destiny. But Destiny only cares about Raven. She has spent all of her time trying to protect Mystique. She has studied her futures, seen them from start to back and back to start. She has seen Raven die over and over and over again. Sinister not really having sympathy, but understanding, yeah, you've created PTSD in your own mind after witnessing her death after timeline after timeline. But Sinister also had the opportunity to study Destiny. With his Moira engine data, he was able to manage to study her predictions. In every situation, she constantly overestimates the chance of her death. On a 50-50 scale, Sinister has theorized that she is hypervigilant. Her sight is drawn to those timelines where she dies. And this is what throws your math off. Love is throwing your math off. This is why he has always said that love is our greatest weakness. The reason Sinister is telling her all of this is because he knows everyone wants to murder him. He knows that all of this is going to end, one way or another. He predicts that Krakoa's not going to be around any longer. This is him planning for his future, because the best case scenario, Krakoa is gone and they're back to being hated. He would rather have at least one person in his corner, one person that may not want to just murder him on sight. And so this gives Destiny the courage, the capability to now go help Mystique, to guide her to Xavier so that she can finally put him down, but only after fixing her brain. As they head off to war, we pick up with Hope and Legion, an Omega level power manipulator, an Omega level power manifester. This mutant circuit can do anything. That includes taking down the Phoenix. As Hope begins to fire Legion, we see the Phoenix become wounded, but then we see the Phoenix begin to fight back. With this ongoing battle, we pick up in the past, 9 months before Hope's birth. Enigma has made his arrival having a discussion with Hope's mother, Louise Spaulding. He informs her of her future, that in 9 months' time she's going to die, that she'll be recovering from labor when men with flamethrowers arrive, that she will be murdered along with everybody in the hospital in fear of her child. Of course, she dismisses this at first, but when he shows her, when he makes her feel the pain of her own death, this is when she listens. And in that moment, Hope Summers can feel it. Enigma is trying to change the past. He tells Hope's mother that at the moment you die, he will lift her from the timeline, can bring her to somewhere much like heaven, and deposit her later wherever she wants, whatever she wishes. Enigma simply needs to be Hope's father. And Jean Grey can feel this change, with Hope dropping down to the ground. Jean is telling her that she needs to kill the Phoenix. She is persuaded to leave them alone for a few moments, letting her have the reins, but this isn't gonna last long. That Hope's gotta collect herself. But then when she looks at her, she sees it. The Enigma crown on Hope's forehead. The past is changing. Enigma is becoming Hope's father. And so Jean takes off. Believing that she can stop this, she takes off into the sky. This is where we pick up with Raven and Destiny. The two of them have made their way into the Orcus facility, and they have found where they are holding Xavier. Destiny demanding for him to take the blocks off so that she can love her son, and Charles doesn't hesitate to give this back to her. In an instant, she remembers her son. She remembers the love for her son. She remembers the abandonment of her son. But not having any time to truly think about this, we have the Nimrods that are showing up. They quickly grab hold of Mystique, and Destiny believing that her visions, her premonitions, they're all true. That she saw this going to happen, and there was nothing that she could do to stop it. Except this time, they get some help. This time, Exodus teleports in, grabs them, and gets them out of here in an instant. As we hop back over to the bar with Enigma and Hope's mother, we have the arrival of Jean Grey. Jean comes in, letting her know that you can't do this. Only now can she finally understand. Hope Summers was sent by the Phoenix to make the Phoenix. That is what Hope's mother chose to do here, coming to save mutant kind. But Hope saves so much more than that. She saves everybody. And Enigma tries to argue his stance, that Krakoa was mutants finally learning their final lesson, the real lesson in reality. All you can do is look after yourself. He tells her to learn those lessons, to look after yourself, after your daughter, to join him, and she might actually get to meet her daughter. But Hope's mother immediately turns him down, and she wonders what Hope is like, with Jean letting her know that she's fierce, that she swears a lot, that she looks a lot like her mother. Enigma begins to lose it. He reminds her that she will die in pain, that she won't even remember this moment. He makes her feel every bit of this anger, every scream. But this woman is a firefighter. She runs into buildings that are set ablaze. She knew eventually she would get burned, that her day would come. And in that moment, Enigma disappears. Jean touches the forehead of Hope's mother, and the seed is planted, born from the Phoenix and Jean Grey's love. Circles now and forever. A chain, a ring that is never ending. And then she is gone, as we pick back up with the Phoenix and Hope. Hope back to her regular self, picking up Legion and firing away. In the massive explosion, we see Hope get caught up, and as the flames begin to burn, Hope's body turns to flames. hope is the last and first fire in the dark. This is where the Phoenix begins. This is where the Phoenix ends. This is the Phoenix now and forever. An unbroken circle of fire. Hope has transformed into the Phoenix, and now the Phoenix must feed, because the true enemy is at the doorsteps. Taking us to the battlefield, we pick up with Exodus, Destiny, Mystique, and Nightcrawler, with Destiny running into the arms of her son, apologizing for everything that she has ever done. In the same breath, we see the sword return back to the hands of Nightcrawler, the sword that is Legion. This means Hope is dead. The plan succeeded. Hope returned from which she came, the flesh made immortal, that she now sits with Krakoa in exile in spirit. Nightcrawler reminding him that they're all over there. All of them alone trapped in the white-hot room, lost forever. But Exodus refuses to accept this. He says they will return, that the Krakoan age will come again, and that they must all fight in this fallen world to prepare for their coming. Meanwhile, Krakoa in exile, the white-hot room. We see all the mutants that are left behind are scared. They're worried. They don't know what they're gonna do. They don't know what's going to happen until our little friend decides he's gonna take some charge. He reminds everybody that they're better than this. They have no rulers, they have no leaders, they have no heroes. The people here are the people in charge. They are now the Quiet Council, and the reason that they are quiet is because they must listen. This is when they start to make a list of everything that they are going to need if they're gonna survive here in this place. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I think this issue is more than confirmation that what I've been saying is in fact true. While yes, technically the Krakoan age is ending, all the characters and everything are still going to be spilt over. That all of these individuals are gonna be in the white hot room. And I would even go as far as saying Xavier's dream did come true. It just didn't include any of the mutants that were on the Quiet Council from the get-go. The most powerful, the Omega levels. The truth is, the dream survives. It lives on, outside of time and space, on this lost piece of exiled Krakoa. The dream can thrive. Away from the turmoil, away from the hatred, away from the grabs for power. This is not to say that they won't have their own issues internally, but some of the biggest problems, the majority of the problems that were wrong with Krakoa, those are all gone now. And it's just the little guy, the unnoticeables, that are left over standing. Now, let's talk about the Phoenix. This was a kind of confusing story, because they're saying that the Phoenix is dying, and we know the Phoenix can't die, it's just a cycle of rebirth. I think this really seals the deal on and explains what they were trying to say. More or less, they're saying that Hope was born so that she could rebirth the Phoenix. That Hope herself is the Phoenix, was always the Phoenix. And Jean, she's the wielder of the Phoenix. For most people, this is understood, especially when it comes to Jean. But in a sense, Hope was the Messiah that Exodus had always preached. She sacrificed and gave her life so that the Phoenix could live. But she was also always the Phoenix, much related to everything with Christian theology. And so her sacrifice has the capability of saving everything, to save them from the dominions that are now going to be descending down on them. I will be covering the Marvel Free Comic Book Day Uncanny X-Men. I'm going to be covering that video later today, and we're going to discuss a little more in depth on where X-Men are going as the Krakoan era comes to an end, and maybe even the possibility of seeing a Rocco still standing on the other side. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that is going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.